Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is a very special episode of the TeacherCast podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about a controversial subject that crept up into the EdTech sphere. Today, we're going to be talking to Padlet's CEO, Nitesh, all about the updates on what's been going on. I want to get right into the interview. Nitesh, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Very nervous.
What are you nervous about, man?
You are a very energetic person. I don't do well with people who have very high energy because I can never keep up with them. I'm just by default, my state is like I'm not super energetic. My aunt says she gets bored just looking at me wash the dishes. I do it so slowly. So I hope I can keep up.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this. Everybody knows Padlet is a fantastic tool, right? I've been using Padlet for a long time. We've been doing PD stuff on it. There's so many people out there that are in love with the product. Over the last few months, I don't know what the timeline is here, but over the last little bit, there have been so many amazing updates for Padlet. Let's talk a little bit about it. How long has Padlet been in existence? When did you guys launch?
So as a company, we have been in existence about 5 years. Right. But it started as a passion project. I was just a software developer, working in college, and I just wanted to hack some things. And I made this thing called Wall Wisher, pushed it online, and I absolutely, didn't do anything with it. I was just using it to make my own notes. And 6 months later, our hosting company said, we are going to, cancel your account because you're taking our servers down. And I'm like, what am I doing to take your servers down? I'm not doing anything. I just have this little app. And it turns out some thousands of people had found out about Padlet and they were using it, right? And so that's pretty much it started. And along the way, I had certain ideas and I felt that this could be more than, what I thought it would be in the beginning, and decided to, start a business, which was the best way to take this idea forward.
I love that story because it's very similar to other, I'll use the word EdTech companies. Somebody had an idea. They wanted to come up to see if they could fulfill that idea, fulfill that need. And then next thing you know, they're a company. They're a business. Right. They're sitting there. Many teachers out there aren't sure really what goes into this. I know a lot of teachers, myself included, think, I'm a teacher. Things should always be free, but that's not the case. When you were talking about your servers, how does EdTech work? How give us the back end, the conversation here. Padlet runs on a server. Your servers are, is it Amazon servers?
We're on Google Cloud.
So you're on Google Cloud servers. So obviously, like everything else, there's a monthly charge for that. And Google Cloud charges per gigabytes or data usage, or how do companies charge you guys for their storage?
Well, so basically in the world of computing, there are pretty much 3 or 4 costs, right? One is you pay for processing, which is the CPU, you pay for memory, you pay for storage, and you pay for bandwidth, the network, right? That's pretty much all there is, in terms of cost, right? And those are packaged in many different ways. But the overall costs are just those 4 things. And when you buy a computer, you pretty much pay for those same things and a screen. We don't pay for the screen because servers don't need a screen, right? But it's pretty much the same as your computer.
So we've been working with Padlet, designing it for the last 5 years. And how many users would you say that you guys have currently?
Right. In any given month, we have close to 10 million people that come to our product.
That's first of all, I'm going to stop the show there. Congratulations
on
that. That is an amazing. So 10 million users a month are knocking on your servers, which is of course a price point.
Right.
We by the way, for anybody listening, we agreed before the show that any question pops up, we'll discuss it, and if we decide we don't want to answer it, we'll move on here in the spirit of good times and good shows here. But let's kind of go back into here. Obviously, Padlet Wall Wisher has been a free program. How have you guys been funded, or how have you guys been able to, as they say, keep the lights on?
Well, we are venture funded. We have raised a few rounds of funding, and we actually have had a pro plan, right, for a while now. And it speaks of how bad I am at being a businessman, that a lot of people who were surprised by these changes did not even know that we had a a paid plan before, right? Because listen, I'm not a business person. I'm absolutely horrible at doing everything except for product, right? It's like, they use the word Rain Man sometimes. Hopefully no one gets offended at that, but that's kind of who I am, right? And so we've been wanting to monetize the product, and we have been monetizing the product. It's not like Padlet isn't monetized. We have teachers who've been paying for pro plans. We have been people who work in offices been paying for premium features, etc. But the funny thing is, I did such a horrible job of either making people aware of it, that a lot of people didn't even know that there was a paid version of Padlet, right? And so it came as a huge surprise to a lot of people, when the truth was there was always a paid version of Padlet. There was nothing new. What we had done was we had rejigged what you could and couldn't do, with the free plans, right?
So let's step back before we get into that aspect here. Over the last few months, I've been working at my own school district and also going to various conferences talking about Padlet. And I always start with the question, what do you think Padlet is?
Right.
And most people say, oh, I know Padlet. It's that corkboard thing where you put stuff up on it. And then I take the next 10 or 15 minutes and I show them the fact that you can modify the board. You can turn it into a back channel. You can embed it into WordPress. I even did a video a few weeks ago on how Padlet can be embedded into Google Sites for a great commenting platform. And then you see these teachers go, oh my goodness, this is so great. And then I say, wait, check this thing out. And then I show them that you can upload audio, you can upload video, you can draw, you can make infographics with connecting it, all of these different things. And then their eyes just explode. Tell us what teachers woke up to this week. What was the big announcement from Padlet?
Right. So the big announcement from Padlet was that we were changing what you could and couldn't do with our free plan. So previously, so first of all, Padlet always had a pro plan and Padlet always had a free plan. So it was a freemium product to begin with for the last about 2 to 3 years, right? And so it still continues to be a product which is free and has a pro version. We did two things. First of all, in the previous free version, you could make as many Padlets as you wanted. And what we did was we did a feature paywall. You could use this, you couldn't use this. You could use this, you couldn't use this. Then we decided that, what we're going to do is to limit the amount of content that you can create, which is we limit the number of Padlets you can create. But once you have created them, you can do whatever pretty much you want. All the features are open for you, right? So that was the one change that we made. And most people who got the news also got the news how we were grandfathering them. And so how we took our existing users and how we calculated what the quota on their accounts should be. So new users get 3 Padlets, but if you're an existing user who, let's say, already has 100 Padlets in your account, right, based on your historical usage, you would get, let's say, 120 Padlets. That would be your quota, right? So those were the two pieces of news that they woke up to primarily.
And talk to us a little bit about the feedback that you guys have gotten this week.
It has been overwhelming. There's been a lot of criticism, and there has been, some support, some really great support as well. It gets drowned in the sea of criticism, but there have been voices out there who have who have supported us. There have been some outright insults, which is fine. I don't care so much about that. It's overall, obviously, it's been a negative reaction. And I think it's been for I don't blame people, by the way, for that. Padlet is a habit for people. None of us like it when any of our habits we have to change, right? 6 months back, Adidas stopped keeping the only pair of socks that I've ever liked, and I absolutely hated them for it. It's like now I have to change my socks as well. And I was genuinely angry at Adidas for doing that, and I completely understand that Padlet is a habit. Once you have a habit, you don't want to change it, and we did something that forced people to change a very well-established habit, right? And so, And so there was a criticism. Now, the thing that was a little bit for us, what took us by surprise was I'm not a social media guy. right? I don't know how social media really works. Like Padlet, we have a social media account. We don't have anybody who manages social media, right? We don't have a social media strategy, right? We don't do anything with our social media accounts. So I completely underestimated how social media really works. So what happened was either because the email or the message that I sent to people wasn't clear, a lot of people got the impression that Padlet was now a totally paid product. And for them to continue using it, they would have to pay, or otherwise they would lose their work. And that information spread on Twitter, and people believed that. People did not go to Padlet to check what the truth was. And I was famously missing from Twitter to clarify it because, I'm just an idiot. And I think by the time I went on Twitter, already a lot of people had made up their minds that that was the new reality, right? And pretty much no amount of clarification from me, could make them believe otherwise. So I think that was where a lot of that criticism was coming from, because they completely did not. They misread the message, which is my fault. It's not the reader's fault.
So I think overall what we're seeing right now is that people are genuinely passionate out there, and teachers want to be able to not only help, support EdTech companies. I think, overall teachers are understanding nothing can be free forever. I think teachers are also understanding that there's a reason why people are moving into this direction. I mean, Google even recently started to have rumblings about having some kind of a Google Apps Enterprise where they're going to.
Oh, they do. Yeah, it is already launched. It's $4 a month.
So where do we go here? I mean, there's a lot of people that are making suggestions. Are you aware of some of the suggestions that teachers are making to things like, hey, how about this pricing tier? How about this pricing tier? I've gotten a lot of stuff on here. If you just follow, and I've seen hashtag Padlet down. I've seen hashtag Padlet, all these different places of, hey, maybe the $100 is too steep, but what about a cheaper model if we don't want to have access to uploading audio, uploading video, uploading,
Right.
What has been your reaction to the reaction?
Right. What has been my reaction to the reaction? I mean, it's completely understandable. Like I said, nobody wants to change their habits, right? And no matter what way I divide the pro versus free versus pro, there will be some people who will be unhappy with the division, right? Remember, we have 10 million users, and even though Twitter has a habit of amplifying, how many people are actually criticizing it? Maybe 1,000, maybe 10,000. Even 10,000 is 0.1% of the total number of users. So what happens is sometimes, and I'm not blaming anyone. I just want to be very clear about this. I'm not blaming. This is just human nature, that you see yourself and you see how 5 of your friends behave, and you feel like the whole world behaves that way. But that is not true. So for example, our new plan, we offer 3 Padlets, right? And people have said it's completely useless to anybody. No one will use it. Now, we didn't come up with the number 3 using a Powerball machine, right? We came up with the number 3 because when we looked at the data, we realized that 90% of our users were okay with 3 or under 3 Padlets, right? And this is in a world where they can make infinite amounts. So even when they could make infinite amount of Padlets, 90% of our users chose to make just 3. Why? Because they were either recycling the same Padlets, right? Or they were using Padlets, like what you said, was like for just a couple of these things here and there, right? So this was a decision that was made by looking at some really large amounts of data, right? And just wasn't made like, we just really come up with that number. Now, when people say, so that's the one thing that I would like to say. I don't blame them. They're not aware. To them, the reality is all my friends use 50 Padlets. This is going to be bad for them, right? So that's one. Secondly, when you actually think about, whether we should have like a lower like Padlet without the extra features, again, it's like nobody wants your extra features, right? But we launched it 2 months ago, and more than 1 million people have taken selfies using our selfie feature, right? It's been used over 1 million times in less than 2 months, right? So it's not true that people aren't using it. And second of all, it's really, really unfortunate for the consumer, and I really feel for them. But what happens is that as a maker, like you have this maker thing at the behind you, so you'll probably understand this. There is a lot of ego and vanity in everything that you do, right? Unfortunately, and I'm sorry that I have to subject people to my ego and vanity. I'm very, very sorry. But what happens is I don't want to ship a substandard product to people. I don't want them to see it. I don't want them to see a Padlet with just text. There are so many software out there that are completely free that they can use if it's just about putting text like Post-it notes and share it with other people, right? That is not the vision of the product. Padlet without drag and drop images, Padlet without video recording, Padlet without maps, etc., audio recording. It's just not Padlet. And I would not be proud of giving the product to anybody, even for free, right? And so that's where just what I value in the product comes in. And I'm so sorry that I have to subject people to that.
I first of all, I'm just going to say I love your honesty, and thank you so much for your time today with all of this stuff. It's awesome to be able to have you on to talk about this stuff. Can you talk a little bit about what went into the decision? Obviously, this wasn't something that you woke up on Monday and said, "Hey, I'm going to write an email to everybody." And
right.
things. How long have you guys been considering this?
Right, about 1 year actually.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not a decision that we made, easily. And by the way, like, it's not like I didn't expect this was going to happen. Like, it's like people sometimes, like, from the reactions, it's like I had no idea that people would be angry. Of course, I knew people are going to be angry, right? I mean, I wish some level of vitriol. It was just not as nasty as some of the comments are, but I completely understand. Anger sort of works like that. When my mom is angry about me not calling her back, she gives me a list of all the transgressions that I've made in the last 1 year, not just that one. So I completely understand when people are angry, they're not themselves and it's not personal. But we've been working on it for like 1 year, looking at what are the ways we can do this. And the biggest thing we actually thought about was what is the best way we can do so that our existing users don't feel that, we've just abandoned them. Right? Like we grandfather them properly, right? What is the best ratio that we grandfather our existing users properly? And what would be a good way to divide? Is 3 the right number? Is 4 the right number? Is 5 the right number? Right? So we did a lot of data analysis on that, and what would be the best way to position it. And so it took about a year.
That's a lot of data crunching on that, and clearly, as you know, what I'm trying to get at to my listeners here is this wasn't something that you did just wake up and on a whim say, oh, we're going to go to 3 people and here this is all going to work. Let's see if we can talk about some of the misconceptions. You've already hit a couple already here. So if we have, let's say that we had 10 Padlets last week, how many Padlets do we have right now to use?
Right. So we did this is how we did the math, right? We did the math. We look at the number of Padlets in your account plus the number of Padlets you have created in the last 3 months. Now, here's the rationale. If you have created 5 Padlets in the last 3 months, there's a good chance in the next 3 months you would only create 5 Padlets. Education day-to-day does not change that much, right? And so what that means is that without changing anything about your classroom or your habits, for the next 3 months, you don't have to make a decision whether or not you want to use Padlet. So you can get through your school year without any issues, and you can make your decision as to what you want to do next, which would be one of 3 things. Find an alternative solution, upgrade, or figure out if you can change something about your existing habits and how you use the product to just make the current quota work. Right? There was one person, for example, who complained about this change, and this person had about 176 Padlets in their account. And my question to them was, can you actually not make 176 Padlets work? Right? Would you have to upgrade in spite of having 176 Padlets? So yeah, I mean, that's the math that we did. Number of Padlets in your account plus number that you created in the last 3 months. So For most people, if you have 10, I think your quota would be somewhere between 13 to 15.
Now, then the question, I think, and this is where most people are getting confused at, if I had 10 Padlets and let's just say tomorrow I delete 2 of them, do I still have 13 or does that number fluctuate now?
No, it's 13. You can make 5 new Padlets. It's like storage. I like to explain to everybody, it's like your phone storage. When you're out of storage, either you delete old files to make space for new files, or you upgrade and buy more storage. And it's exactly the same way on Padlet.
With a Padlet, again, I want to go back to the idea how, again, I've been doing PD on it and using it as a back channel and using it as a, I don't want to use the word, but there is another popular video company out there that's allowing kids to make video. You
can just name them. It's fine.
Okay, Flipgrid.
Right.
Is there a limit to how much data you can put on a Padlet wall?
Yes. I mean, for the free users, uploads are up to 10 megabytes. And no matter who's on your Padlet, right? So you can upload 10 megabytes. Anybody who contributes, gets 10 megabytes. And if you're a pro user, any Padlet that you create, you can upload anything up to 250 megabytes. Plus anybody who's on the Padlet with you, any contributor can also upload 250 megs.
So I can have one Padlet, and let's just say every day I have my kids make a video. That's 30 kids attacking one Padlet with video for 30 days straight. You can just keep putting video up there.
Yeah, you can.
That's still awesome, right?
Thank you.
It really is an amazing product out there.
Thank you.
Let's move forward in time here, okay? Because obviously this is where it is. Do you see yourself rethink, or let me put it this way: are you rethinking this plan? Do you see yourself in the next week or month or whatever saying, all right, we're going to add a middle step in here,
right?
Or not?
Well, so we are definitely, thinking about it. We have already mentioned on our Twitter feed that we are thinking of a couple of things. Number one is a referral program, which would allow free users who cannot afford to pay for a premium subscription, but still want to continue using the product beyond its limits to actually refer other people to the platform and earn more quota, right? It's nothing new. Dropbox and some of the other companies have done it in the past, so it's nothing new. That's one. Second, we have been, thinking about, a middle tier between the 2 price points that there are. We haven't announced anything officially yet for 2 reasons. First of all, we sat on this for like a year and we did our numbers and we are very convinced that like this is the right way to go about it. Right. And we need a little bit more data to figure out that whether we were right or not. Right. It's just been 2 days, 3 days. Right. That's number one. And secondly, it's been a really emotional time for everybody, right, in the company. Right. We did not do any, gimmicks. Padlet doesn't do any gimmicks. Padlet doesn't do any marketing. We don't have any booths at any time. And the reason for that is very simple. People sometimes feel like we are like 100% corporate and like full of suits that are making this decision. We are a 6-person company. We have 3 engineers that actually handle 10 million monthly users. Every engineer handles more than 3 million people. And you yourself said what we have done in the last 6 months. I mean, we have done some incredible things in the last 6 months, right? And maybe it's less than a lot of other companies have done. I don't know. Maybe it's nothing to brag about. But what I'm just trying to say is we just don't have, that kind of time to do all these things, right? We are not very good at community engagement because the entire team is the size of some bigger companies, community engagement program, right? So we have to like put that a little bit in context here. So yeah, I just request people sort of to remember that.
When we're looking at a year from now, obviously Padlet's moving forward. We've got some neat things. Without giving away too much of what's on the whiteboard, essentially. What can teachers expect? Okay, now I'm going to go from a free product to now I'm going to support you with $100, or I'm going to get my students. What's coming up down the road to provide value that says, okay, I get it. Here's $100. Let's do this.
Right. I mean, first of all, right now everybody is just trying to be calm. Like at the company, it's obviously been very emotional for everybody. So we're just like, right now it's like, okay, just don't do anything, rash, and don't do anything like just, don't immediately second guess your decision. Right. So for a lot of with the referrals or for the middle tier plan, we'll probably we'll only announce sometime next week, right? We're not gonna announce anything because I feel you should never make promises when you're angry, upset, or too happy, right? And so we are in one of those three right now. But in terms of value, listen, I would not price my product at this price if I already didn't think that it was worth it. Right. So I don't need to tell you that, hey, listen, we are going to do these things in the next 6 months, which is finally going to make Padlet worth it. Like I strongly believe Padlet is already, worth that much. And I'll give you a very small example. We launched in March or February, we launched this feature called Padlet Broadcast. It allows a teacher from her iOS or Android device to beam a Padlet to all her students in her classroom. Right? Works across Android and iOS. Nobody else does it. We use Bluetooth and ultrasonic audio to do that, right? Even Apple AirPlay doesn't allow you to do it. So when you go to a class, you beam your Padlet, you broadcast your Padlet. The moment any student opens their Padlet app, they will just see your broadcasted Padlet in there and they can just go in there. And students in your class, in your campus, nobody outside because it only works in a small radius. Now, why am I telling you this? It saves every classroom 5 minutes. I have been to classrooms and I have seen in a 30-minute classroom, a teacher would spend 10 minutes just trying to set everybody up, set everybody's computers up to the software that we need to be on, right? Leaving only 20 minutes for instruction, right? And if this can save you 5 minutes per class, you use Padlet 5 times a week. That's 25 minutes. That's 100 minutes per month of time saved by using Padlet versus anything else by just one feature. Now, if 100 minutes is not worth, $8, then I completely understand. But, but if it is, then I would like you to consider, we are not trying to charge anything more than what we think that our software is worth.
Well, let's take a look at this because I want to get into the how. How do we purchase this? How do we support? Right. How do we do all these things? If you go to Padlet.com and you click on the upgrade button, it is $100 a year. You have unlimited Padlets, which I want to ask the question, in your system, what is the biggest number that you see? And you're sitting there going, this guy's got 400 Padlet. Like, what is the maximum that you've ever seen somebody make in a Padlet world?
The maximum I have seen is 480. It's wow. It's crazy that I don't know the exact number. I should know it, but I think the maximum that I have seen is 480.
So we have unlimited Padlets. You can put those Padlets in a folder, right? Because obviously if you're dealing with hundreds of these things, organization is the key. Up to 250 megabytes of space, which is awesome, especially when you're dealing with those HD videos. I think the biggest thing here, and recently TeacherCast put out a post created by our friend Dr. Sam Patterson on support. By doing this, you are assuring yourself if anything goes wrong, if you need help with anything, you do get priority support. Talk to us a little bit about how you're supporting teachers through this feature.
How are we supporting teachers through this transition, you mean, or in general?
It says priority support. What does that mean to you?
Oh, so we have, regular, if you're, any user can obviously email us, right? And we usually try to answer in less than 24 hours to any question that they have. But if you are a paying user, you can also chat with us. There's a chat widget, will be available on your dashboard. And we actually have a phone number that doesn't have a robot, like one of us actually picks up. So you don't have to dial 1 for English or 2 for Spanish. I mean, I do speak a little bit of Spanish, so I should be able to help you in Spanish. But yeah, somebody actually picks up. And So that's what we mean by priority support. And obviously, when we get emails at the end of the day, we go through the people we promise priority support. We go through them first instead of just going in chronological order.
Another feature here, we have two more things I want to hit. Number one, no ads. Is it no ads on your Padlet? No ads in the dashboard? Where can we see ads creeping up? Is this? Talk to us a little bit about what ads means. Freemium versus
right. Well, so we've never had ads on Padlet ever. We don't think that while you're learning in a classroom that you should see an ad for the next, I don't know, some face cream or something like that. I just don't think you should do that. But if you see an ad, it'll only be on your dashboard for now.
And those ads will be pulled from, if you don't mind me, Google AdWords. So in other words, if a teacher is shopping somewhere, now they're going to start to see ads for those products in their Padlet dashboard because that's how Google AdWords works? They can see that. Yes, it would be possible for them to see that. But the assumption here is that a dashboard is your private space. Right.
But the Padlets that you create is a public space. We don't want to put those ads in a public space.
Right. You don't want a second grader looking at what the teacher's shopping for at, right.
Well, the way that your ads work, exactly. If the teacher was projecting it on a screen, then yes, the second grader would be able to see that. And we don't want that.
Now, I saved this feature for last, but, and this is the one teachers might be looking at going, what does this mean? But domain mapping, what is domain mapping and why is that important?
Some people use Padlets as their websites. And so, they would create a website like mybeautifulwebsite.com and they would just want to host a Padlet on it. And, we allow that, and that's a paid feature, basically. So if anybody wants to host like a personal website and have like a custom domain, then they can do that via Padlet.
So then the question comes up of, okay, what happens next? We know we want to purchase this. We want to go through here. We can click on the button. Now, you guys take a variety of payments here. There is one that I wanted to ask you about because let's say that my school district wanted to buy this across the board. Is there anything in here in bulk if a school district wanted to buy it for multiple teachers?
Yes, we have a plan called Padlet Backpack, which is basically Padlet in a box. It's still hosted in the cloud. Like we call it Padlet in the box to make people understand, which is it's basically your own private instance of Padlet, right? And a school can buy it for the entire building, or a district can buy it for multiple schools, and you can create unlimited teacher and student accounts for $1,500 a year.
Say that one more time because that was an important thing.
You can make unlimited teacher and student accounts for $1,500 a year if the whole school wanted to sign up for it.
So you really have two options. One teacher, $100 for the year. Mm-hmm. If you obviously have more than 15 teachers, it makes sense for a school district to sign up for this. Do you accept purchase orders?
Yes, we do accept purchase orders.
I think that's the most important question that I can ask you today is so many school districts out there are looking at their EdTech purchases and they rely on purchase orders.
Yeah.
If you're looking at doing this for your school, definitely check out Padlet in a box. Did I say that right?
It's called Padlet Backpack. That's the name, right?
Sorry.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think about the name? Do you think it should change?
I like it, actually. I mean, I look, it's a no-brainer, right? Like we get the situation. Padlet certainly isn't the first EdTech company to do this. We've of course talked about others that are out there. Does it stink for teachers? Sure. What's the alternative? Companies like Padlet, for example, say, okay, then we can't continue and we have to shut down. We certainly don't want to see that. I wouldn't want to be the guy with 481 Padlets suddenly going, oh, where is all of the work that I've just done for the last 5 years?
Right.
Nitesh, I want to say thank you so much for your time being open and all of that stuff. If anybody out there listening has questions, you can, of course, send them to me. You can send them to feedback@teachercast.net. Of course, Padlet also has a hotline. You can email them. What is the best way to contact you guys?
hello@padlet.com is probably the best way. Or tweet us, but the next 2-3 days may not be the best way because it's kind of like I have a backlog that I need to clear.
I totally understand. Before we wrap up, I'll give you the last word here on the show. Any last words that you want to say to 10 million users right now?
I'm sorry that we had to do this. But this is something that we had to do, and not kind of like abandoning anybody. We are working with every single person who has emailed us, trying to figure out like a way to make this work. We are doing this because we truly believe that we are in a position to improve education, to improve offices, to improve how people work, we feel that the world would be better with Padlet than without it, and we felt this was like the only way to do it.
Well, again, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time and being open and being honest. I would encourage anybody out there to check out Padlet today over at Padlet.com. I've been using them. I'm still going to support them. I'm still going to be pushing them. As he said, there's still teachers that 3 Padlets is a lot. And if you have been using Padlets and you have 10, cool. Now you have 13. You can always reuse them. The feature set is not going away. There are so many different things that you can do with them. And of course, on TeacherCast, we're still going to be supporting and sharing different ways to use Padlet. If you have any questions, you can reach out to them at help@padlet.com. And of course, we want to have...
Hello. It's hello
Sorry.
at Padlet.
Thank you. Hello@padlet.com. Hello@padlet.com. We hope that you guys have enjoyed this. This has been a great episode, a rough episode for everybody here. But we want to certainly say thank you guys for taking the time to make TeacherCast your home for professional development. There's, of course, several great ways that you can reach out to us on Twitter @TeacherCast. And, of course, leave us a voice message over at teachercast.net/voicemail. On behalf of everybody here in the TeacherCast Educational Network, my name is Jeff Bradbury, reminding you to keep up the great work in your classrooms and continue sharing your passions with your students.